If someone spikes you onto the ground, how do you get off the ground fast enough to not get hit by their move for free? Okay, good question. Let's talk about that. Because I just found out that there is one specific type of spike that only exists for certain moves, and it's like Leo's up 3+4 or Katarina's stomp, where if you are on the ground, lying on the ground, if this shit hits you, you can't tech roll, and it gives you another hit free, right? Are you talking about that, or are you talking about off of an airborne hit? Because if you're talking about off of an airborne hit, that's a different story, and we could talk about that. Aris, please check out my channel. Yeah, sure. Please check out my channel. So, Ron Mailer is asking about spikes. I think there are 3 types of spikes in the game, right? I don't know if that shit's considered. The third one is the one where it's a bound move from a previous game and you have the option to hold back. Do you guys consider that to be a spike? I don't even know what the Tekken 7 community has agreed on, but we'll get to that, right? First one I want to talk about is this one. This move, while they're on the ground, this move causes this stun, right? And this stun exists for a couple of moves in the game. I can at least off the top of my head think of 2. One of them is this, the other one is Katarina's stomp. And if that stomp hits you, you get an additional hit guaranteed, right? If that stomp hits you on the ground. This is also the case with this move. This move hits you on the ground and the opponent has no option to tech roll. It's rare. Normally when you get hit on the ground, you always have the option to tech roll. So, the fact that you can get a grounded hit here and they cannot tech roll, that is cheating. It's cheap, I think. I think it's good, not cheap, right? Some people panic, right, when you use that word. But I think it's really good and unique and worthy of mentioning. Because most characters, I was saying this yesterday, most characters just get one hit, like a stomp or some heavy hit, right? And it never does more than 25 to 30 damage, a single hit, right? But in this case, she's doing, 36 damage? 36 damage? Now the fucked up thing about this, which is even more fucked up than the 36 damage, right, is in order to deal with this into this, 2 of them, right, in order to beat this, 2 of them in a row, you have to immediately get up, immediately. Let's see what you have to do to beat that. So, guard, quick back roll, right? I think that if you quick back roll, is this guaranteed too? It could be. Let's test it. See, this is all new shit to me, but it's cheap, for sure. I didn't know this really was a thing, to be honest. I kind of had an idea that this was a thing, but now that I'm realizing it's more than one character has it, you guys gotta tell me what other characters have it, because I'm not sure. So, what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna set player status to face up. Then I'm going to record the opponent doing this shit over and over again. Then I'm going to reset it and defend against it. Okay, so I was right. If you are fighting against a human and you're laying on the ground and they do this on you, right? You can't tech roll. So, what does that mean? It means that if you stay on the ground and you want to defeat this strategy, which people do all the time, right? I've been seeing Leo players do this multiple times. Why does this work so well? Because you can't tech roll here. You can't tech roll here. So, in order to beat multiple up 3+4s, you literally have to stand up and block immediately. How do you stand up and block immediately? Well, you push, so when you're on the ground in this game, right punch doesn't do anything, right? Right punch doesn't do anything. It's an empty button. No matter what position you're in, right punch doesn't do anything, right? But if you do up and right punch, it allows you to get off the ground as fast as possible. And it's not necessarily faster than just up, but because you're pushing up and right punch, this is like an old method of getting up quickly, and it's because if you're pushing up and right punch, you're not pushing something else, I think. I don't know what the real rationale is behind doing it, but this is like an old method of getting up. Right punch doesn't do anything off the ground, and if you do up plus right punch, you get up pretty quickly. So you gotta be careful not to push it too much, you know, just like a couple times and then you'll get up, right? So in this case where this guy's doing multiple up 3s or up 3+4s, in order to beat this, you have to immediately stand block, which nobody ever does. In a real life scenario, you get hit by one of these, right? You're not gonna get up and block immediately, and if you do, first of all, if you do, you're risking getting swept or some shit, but rarely is anyone even going to be ready to do that, right? You gotta be, like, aware. Literally, you have to be aware that this does this. It's so cheap. So oftentimes, what you end up seeing Leo players do, which I saw Palakis do this shit today. I was watching Next Level Battle Circuit, right? Palakis was playing Leo today, right? Literally, this is what he did. And I've seen many people do it, and it's so good. So what he does is, he does up 3+4, up 3+4, then the low, right? So this is an Okazumi, like, scenario, right? The first one hits, and then the second one hits, and the third thing is guaranteed. That is so fucking cheap, right? Because the first one hit, and you weren't ready. You were trying to get up. Second one hits, and the third one's guaranteed. So we're like literally talking about how much damage is that? That's so much damage just for laying on the ground. Oh, excuse me. That's fucked up, right? 56? 56 damage just for laying on the ground. Because two of these, like, basically what I'm saying is, if you're not aware of what situation this move puts you in when you're laying on the ground, it's almost like inevitable that you will get hit by two of them. Because this is such a unique scenario in the game. I knew, like I said, I knew it existed, but I didn't even really understand it. And I still don't know if I completely understand it, but all I know for sure is that when you get hit by this move on the ground, you can't tech, right? So that down forward 2+3 is guaranteed if it hits. But, as I said, greedy ass Leo players, they go for the double up 3+4, which is not a bad idea. 56 damage just for laying on the ground. Unless you're ready to immediately get up and block that mid, which is fucked up. Anyway, okay, so that's one scenario. And like I said, the only two characters that I can think of that have this are Leo and Katarina. You guys gotta tell me if any other characters have this. I don't know. But the other thing that Ron Mailer asked about was spikes and how to get up to block what they do. So a moment ago, I told you about right punch. That's how I would get up. I don't know if the right punch part actually does anything, or if it's like a placebo, like a, you know, suppository. You know? I'm not sure. But to me, up plus right punch, and then defending appropriately is the fastest way to get up off the ground. I don't know if it's 100% the fastest, but to me, I'm not sure. It's kind of a legacy thing. Anyway, so let me see if I can think of a scenario with her. Doesn't this spike? Yeah, that spikes. So a great example of a spike in a real world environment would be this combo here. Leo, her magic 4 is kind of finicky, right? You gotta do a dash jab, which is kind of bunk, right? Get it once at least. See how finicky it is? So that's kind of finicky, right? So it's been recommended to me that I do 2, what was it, forward 2. Forward 2, down 1. This is like a real world, you're gonna end up using this combo in the real world because it's one of the more practical Magic 4 combos for her, right? So, in a scenario like this, where you get spiked down to the ground, I think that holding back is one of your best bets. Because holding back is going to get you up and block any mid that's blockable, right? If the mid is blockable, you'll block it by holding back. So no matter how fast it is, regardless of speed, if the mid is blockable, you'll block it by holding back. But, let's see here. If you need to block a low, right? If you need to block a low immediately, the way I would block a low would be up right punch and then down back. That's how I would block a low. Up right punch and then down back. I don't know if everyone would agree with that, but to me, that's how you would block a low. Up right punch and then down back. To get up. So the up right punch is to get up and the down back is to block it. Just like I said earlier, once you stand up, you just block appropriately. I think. So, okay, that's the second type of spike, right? But there is also that third type, right? What's the third type with her? You know the one I'm talking about where you can hold back. Like Dragunov's running 2 in the air. Or like, does she have any? This, right? This. That. That. So, if you don't hold back there, every character just about has this, right? It's really common, especially at the wall. If you don't hold back, you eat free hits on the ground, right? And if you do hold back, you suffer from big frame disadvantage. So, I mean, it's kind of like one of those things where you gotta hold back, right? I don't know if it's like a better idea to ever not hold back. It kind of reminds me of this stun right here. This stun where like, if they don't hold back, you get a free stomp, right? But this stomp is not guaranteed. It's only guaranteed if they don't hold back. It kind of reminds me of that. Where like, alright, so he held back. He gets out of it. It's kind of like that. Anyway, yeah, those are the 3. The reason I went into them so much is because this one, the first one I was talking about, is so shocking to me. This one is a new one. This one is like it's not only like, it's totally new. The whole idea of it is new. Right? Normally in Tekken, you don't get punished so hard for laying on the ground. Staying on the ground is pretty safe because normally what happens is, worst case scenario is you eat a big hit, the biggest hit they got, like a stomp, or something, and then you get up.
Jack Miller, Fox
right?
30 News.
But she really makes you pay.
Does using up plus RP mean you're buffering an extra input of up since RP is a dead button? On knockdown, doesn't seem like placebo. Could also help getting up using back get up faster with back plus RP.
Back plus RP? I don't know. That's another thing that I've never really done before, because back plus RP is unnecessary in previous Tekkens because you do a back roll. But in this Tekken, it's back with no back roll. You just get up. So I'm not sure if back plus RP is faster or not. I don't really know. I'm not sure. But it doesn't matter. That's the way I do it, and I know it works. I don't know if it's faster, but I know it works, and I know that's how I was taught for a long time. I mean, for years I've been taught this. So, by the people who taught me from ages ago. You know, it is possible though that this is something that worked in the past but no longer works. Maybe it doesn't work anymore. I don't know. Either way, I mean, I shouldn't say it doesn't work anymore. What I mean is, maybe it doesn't do anything anymore, but it definitely still works.